Good afternoon, everyone. I am Amrita from Earthful Foundation, and I welcome you all to this webinar session. Earthful is a non-profit organization based in Guwahati, and we work primarily for the conservation of natural resources. As you might be already aware, we are doing an e-waste detox drive in Guwahati from 4th to 12th January 2021, and this webinar is a part of the e-waste drive. We are also trying to channelize the e-waste generated in this. I'm Amrita from Earthful Foundation, and I welcome you all to this webinar session. Earthful is a non-profit. Sorry, really sorry for this. So I was telling you that we are conducting this webinar as part of the e-waste detox drive, and we are aiming to spread awareness among the masses through the webinar. Also, we will try to channelize the e-waste generated during this drive to our pollution control board recycler. I can see people are still joining. So let's watch a 2 minutes video and then we will continue with the session.
We all use a lot of electronic devices these days. Our life is dependent on these products. But what do we do with these when they are outdated? You probably have a collection like this. Maybe a drawer like this. But have you ever wondered where all this lands up? This is e-waste or electronic waste, and there are many health risks associated with these. Electronic waste is now the fastest growing toxic waste in the world. In most of the places, workers dismantle this e-waste without any safety equipment, and recyclers burn circuit boards or soak microchips in acid to extract gold, silver, and copper out of these. In the process, workers' children are often exposed to toxic elements like lead, mercury, and cadmium. The danger produced by e-waste comes from inhalation of toxic fumes and their accumulation in soil and water. So what are we supposed to do? We should be mindful in buying new electronic products, get into practice of repairing, reusing, and donating electronic goods. And most importantly, give these away only to Pollution Control Board authorized recyclers who use all safety measures to dismantle the e-waste. Join the Earthful Detox Drive and get rid of your electronic waste like old computers, phones, cables, and other electronic devices. Let's have an environment-friendly beginning to the new year. Earthful Detox Drive, 4th January to 12th January. For pickup of your electronic waste, contact 81047-84289 and 88129-48507.
Thank you for watching the video. Now I would like to request Shweta ma'am to take over the session from here. Ma'am, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. As we know, electronic waste is the fastest growing menace. And when we thought of conducting this program, more than collecting the waste, the idea was to create a buzz about it. E-waste is a comparatively new concept, and many of us are not aware about it. We hope that with this program, we will be more alert about it, and in future we would know that what we have to do with the e-waste that we see all around us and we generate. I really thank all the schools for participating in this drive, because we all know that children are the future and they make the future society. The knowledge and awareness that they carry in the future and the same time at home, whatever they learn from school, they spread it among their parents, among the neighborhood, their siblings, and that is a very good way to create any kind of awareness. I'm really, really thankful for all the schools for participating and making this program important for the kids. Now, here we have to understand one thing, that e-waste is actually a very different kind of a waste, and it has to be managed in much different way than we manage rest of the waste. For that, we need a lot of expertise. That is why we have here with us our partners, our knowledge partners, which is STEAM Academy, and we have speakers, who are experts in this field here to guide us and to give us much more information about e-waste. So here I would like to welcome Dr. A.P. Jayaraman. He's a nuclear scientist with professional experience in waste management. And also we have with us Professor Namrata Mankat, who has done her master's in electronics and telecommunication engineering. So now from here, both our speakers will take it forward and they will give you all the insight and details about e-waste, what it is and why it is so different and how we are supposed to manage it. So here, Dr. Jayaraman, over to you.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you, Amrita, for this wonderful opportunity, academic opportunity. And my dear young learners, good afternoon and Happy New Year to all of you. This is Uncle Dr. J from the STEAM Academy. We have met here virtually to hear the story of e-waste. It is a tragedy and it is also a comedy. In the tradition of science storytelling, let me ask you to go back in time to perform an impossible task of time travel to the past. Let's go back 85 days in time. Turn back the daily sheets of our calendar. We will reach October 14th. October 14th is the International Year of the Electronic Waste. I congratulate Earthful for organizing this webinar, E-Waste Detox. Let us now do another experiment. Scientists like to do experiments, but here in this virtual atmosphere, we are not going to do a physical experiment or even a augmented reality experiment. All that we will do will be a thinking experiment or a thought experiment. Going back in time, 147 years ago, there was no word electron. The word electron was coined only 147 years ago by George Johnston Stoney. He made the word, he coined the word, and the word electron means amber or fossilized resin from trees. That's how the word came about. 23 years later, 124 years ago, Joseph John Thomson, whom we call as, affectionately we call him J.J. Thomson, he discovered the elementary particle called electron. The negatively charged particle that moves around the nucleus of an atom, which we study in our classrooms. That was discovered by J.J. Thomson 124 years ago. Now let us perform another thought experiment. Imagine an absolutely impossible act. Stoney, who coined the word electron, and Johnson, who discovered and detected the particle electron, let us invite them to October 14th, International Year of the Electronic Waste. They will come, they will inaugurate the event, that is the third International Year of the Electronic Waste, and we will tell them 55 million tons of electronic waste was made in the single year 2020. They'll be surprised, they'll be shocked, even by the wildest of their fancy, by the greatest stretch of their imagination. They will not be able to absorb this huge number, 55 million tons of electronic waste in the year 2020. If they do a quick calculation, a quick back of the envelope calculation, they will discover to their utter dismay that 7 kilograms per capita. 7 kilograms of electronic waste burden is on the head of every man, of every woman, of every child living on the surface of this planet today. That was the shocking realization the great electronic scientists will come to realize. So that was, here we have George Johnston Stoney, and we have J.J. Thomson, with whom we did a wonderful thought experiment. Now, let us go to the periodic table. All of us will study either right now or maybe a year or two in our science class, the periodic table. It's a very special table, a table in which all the 118 elements of the universe have been nicely packed in a beautiful way, in a meaningful way, in an extremely symbolic way, and right from hydrogen, the simplest element, to the most complicated element, organison 118, they are arranged in this periodic table. There is no element other than what is described in this. This is the stuff with which the universe is made. This is the stuff with which we are made. And this is the stuff with which everything is made, in the which we can see around. And this is also the stuff with which our mobile phone is made up of. Now, if you look at our mobile phone, I am now seeing the chemistry of the mobile phone from the point of view of electronic waste. You will find no fewer than 70 elements going into our mobile phone. That is the beauty, the greatness, and the diversity of the mobile phone. On the screen, and if you have a touch screen, you will find that it is made up of indium oxide and stannous oxide. That's how we begin. Indium oxide and stannous oxide make our screen, the touch screen. Look at the battery, that is made up of element number hydrogen, helium, lithium. It is made up of lithium. Without lithium, it won't work. And if you look at the electronics component of it, you will find elements like copper, nickel, you find gold, and you find iridium, gadolinium, and a host of elements on the electronic side. If you look at simply on the casing of your mobile phone, you'll find carbon, magnesium, chromium, and nickel going into that. So what I'm suggesting is, out of the 118 elements of the periodic table, 92 are called natural elements, out of which 90 are stable elements. Out of the stable elements, 70 elements go straight into the making of our miraculous mobile phone. And when we throw it away, all these things are going into waste. That is how the waste is made. Now, the waste, whatever be the nature of the waste, is a great distress and burden on our society and on human civilization. So we have been asked time and again that we should have a sustainable world. We should be able to do things sustainably. In fact, the key word in the 21st century is sustainability. The word can be, you can see it in the dictionary, you can see in political speeches, in scientific speeches, everywhere you will see the word sustainability. This word has, sustainability is like happiness. It's a condition of our world. We have to make the world sustainable. Sustainability has to be created, generated, nurtured, and produced by us, for which the method of making a sustainable world is by sustainable development. That is, sustainable development is the method, is the route, is the path through which we should move so that we reach a goal of sustainability. That has been beautifully illustrated by Brundtland Commission. Ambassador Brundtland coined the word, and she defined sustainability is that development which meets the needs of present generation. We should meet all our needs, but we should see that our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren also have access to resources so that they can also lead a good quality of life. That is, posterity is not forgotten. The future is not disposed of. What we do today, we will see that it is available for future generations, and we shall not do anything against that. That is what is called sustainable development. Now, sustainable development can be done only by a certain methods, for which we need an economic system. We need an order. We need an arrangement of systems in which there is a circle and not a straight line. If we do in a straight line fashion, which we call the linear development, then we will find we will go and mine, we will get copper or aluminum or gold or lanthanides, whatever elements we want, we will dig it deep from the bowels of the earth. We'll go to a mill, manufacture it. We'll buy it paying money. Then we will use it the way we like. And then we'll throw it out and it'll go to a landfill. And that is the end of the material. This system will not work. This linear economy will not work. Instead of that, we go into a circular system. We recycle the material and put it back. We never allow it to go to waste. We create wealth out of that. That is called a circular economy, and sustainable development can be had only if we go in for a circular economy. Now, sustainability has a threat, not one. We have 4 different threats, and e-waste acts in giving 4 different kinds of threat to sustainable development. First, the quantity of e-waste is increasing. 55 million tons, I mentioned globally as on this year. And it is increasing and it is maddeningly multiplying. It is increasing by leaps and bounds. And what is worse is that we do not treat it properly. We do not manage it properly. Either we burn it if it is combustible or we dump it into the land. Simple solution, burn it if it burns, if it is combustible. Dig it deep, leave it there. So that is what landfills come. So these 4 threats to sustainability have to be managed. Now look at sustainable development is being managed by the United Nations with 17 sustainable development goals. They are called SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Earlier it was called Millennium Development Goals. Today they are called Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them, out of which 7 of them are extremely important from e-waste. Let us take Sustainable Development Goal number 7. The number 7 SDG says it is the duty of society to provide affordable and clean energy. No dirty energy and no energy too costly. In this process, because we wanted to produce clean energy, we used a method of using energy very efficiently. We can use a 100-watt ordinary incandescent lamp, or in its place, we can use a 20-watt fluorescent lamp, or we can use a 10-watt compressed CFL. Any 3 we can use. The moment we use CFL, there is an enormous reduction of energy consumption. Less coal is being burned. So that is how we were economizing. We were husbanding energy. That is what we did here. But in the process, we produced a CFL, which contains a toxic element called mercury. So we must manage the efficiency we brought by appropriate technological means. Now, let us go to the 6 other sustainable development methods in which the electronic waste have such a powerful impact. Take Sustainable Development Goal number 3, good health and well-being. Good health and well-being cannot be had unless we reduce death and illness by pollution. Pollution, air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. These are produced by the elements which we use in electronic goods, and we must reduce that. That is the effect on Sustainable Development Goal 3. Take SDG 6, which assures that we should have clean water, that is safe, potable water. Now, safe potable water can be had only if you stop dumping your materials in landfills, or you take your pollutants and allow them to dilute and disperse. So dilution and dispersal, putting it under landfills, or allowing them to leach out from the landfill into our drinking water system, that will be affected. Electronic waste will affect SDG 6. Now, if you look at electronic waste, decent working and economic growth, because economic growth is necessary for the prosperity and welfare of the society, you will find that if you do not do recycling and if you do not develop for our economic growth, we should have we should have micro, mini, and small industries, and jobs can be created only if we have economic growth. So we should have recycle industry. We should have appropriate collection mechanism. There should be a supply chain which will create enough job for people for a happy living. Now look at sustainable SDG 11, which says we should have sustainable cities and sustainable communities. They can be had. All the cities, if you look at the nature of a city, the cities produce more waste than others. Therefore, the per capita, per head production of waste, generation of waste should be minimal for the community, and that can be done only by reducing the waste and recycling it and properly collecting it and reducing the load on the landfills. Let us look at SDG 12 and electronic waste, responsible consumption and production. Don't do anything irresponsibly, throw it away. That culture of throwing it away, that is extremely dangerous. We must follow environmental management standards. Rules and regulations are made by the Government of India, Ministry of Forest, Environment, and Climate Change. So we should look after that. Then, Sustainable Development number 14, that is regarding life below water, marine pollution. No electronic waste should produce marine pollution. So therefore, last 2018, Government of India has amended the rules, and we find that it is the duty of the producer of the electronic device to see that it is protected. This is called extended producer responsibility. Those companies which manufacture the electronic waste should take it back, buy back, and see that it doesn't get into landfills. And in this country, this is controlled by the Central Pollution Control Board. It has around 300 odd legally approved electronic waste recyclers. If all of them are active and if all of them do their job very well, they are able to do 782,000 tons per year. The waste which we produced last year, we need 4 years to completely manage that safely. That's the electronic waste load we are having. I have given you a very rough introduction. For the detailed unfolding of this great story, I invite Professor Namrata to move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Jairaman, for the introduction and interesting insight in the e-waste management. Hello, everyone. Today we are here to understand about e-waste management, how it is a burning issue of the current times. Now, as we know that life without electronics is unimaginable nowadays. But what happens when we stop using those electronic devices or when we throw those electronic devices? We discard them. So let's see the afterlife of electronics and its effects. Okay, looking at these two pictures, which is more pleasant? A child playing in a clean, green environment or a child sitting in a dump yard of electronic waste? Obviously, a child with a happy face. Let's see the statistics.
50 million metric tons, as Dr. Jayaraman has already told us, of e-waste is generated every year all over the world. Can you imagine the figure? 50 million metric ton. This is equal to the weight of nearly 4,500 Eiffel Towers. Such a huge dump yard on the earth. The total number of PC users in India is over 80 million. Let's talk about Indian statistics. And there are more mobile phones in existence than there are number of people living in Earth. So if you see the countries with the biggest number of mobile phone users, then first come China. It has more than 1.3 billion users, then India and USA. Just imagine more mobile phones in existence than the number of people living on Earth. Then the top five e-waste generating countries in the world: USA, China, Japan, Germany, and India. And if you look at Indian figures, then the top three e-waste generating cities of India are Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, where Mumbai itself is generating 1.20 thousand tons of e-waste per annum. Such a huge figures. Let's take an example of a city, Delhi, where there daily 3,000 personal computers, 8,500 mobile handsets, 5,500 TV sets are dismantled every day for reuse. So, if we go for the large figure, then India produces 2 million tons of e-waste every year. And you know how much of this, from this, the quantity is recycled? It's around 4,38,000 tons per annum. So the sad part is only 5% of the total e-waste is getting recycled due to poor infrastructure, legislation, that is rules and regulations and framework. So what happens to the 95% of the e-waste which is generated? It is managed by the unorganized sectors and the scrap dealers in the market. They dismantle and dispose this product instead of recycling it. So right now in 2021, India's e-waste production is crossing 3 million tons per annum. Such a huge figure. Now, what is electronic waste? We all know it, but let's just define it. It's a term used to describe old, end-of-life or discarded appliances using electricity and battery. Computers, mobile phones, air conditioners, laptops, telephones, irons, drilling machines, treadmills, printers, toys, lighting equipments, medical devices, DVDs, CD players, radios, washing machine, dryers, vacuum cleaners, coffee machine, toasters, refrigerators, and many more. This all can be considered as the equipments which we use, and once we stop using it, it turns into an e-waste. Now, what is a breakup of e-waste in India? 70% of the e-waste is generated by the computer equipment, 12% by the telecommunication equipment, 8% by the electrical equipment, 7% by medical, and 3% are the other equipments, including the household e-crap. Now, how this all becomes e-waste? The very first point is changes and advancement in technology. For example, previously we used to use the simple phones with the simple keypad. Now we have touch screens. Changes in fashion, style, and status. Many of us do the purchases based on our status, or we just give in to peer pressure. Like our friend is buying a high-end cell phone, so we also give in to that pressure. Then changes in configuration. We have hardware upgrades, software upgrades. So we have now the laptops, the iPads, or we can say the cell phones, they all are with a better speed, better memory, and definitely we have analog to digital TV conversions also. So because of all this changing configuration, changing in the operating system, changing in the hardware and software, we go for new devices and we discard the old one. Obviously, there are attractive offers from the manufacturers which lose the customers, and the small life of equipment. The equipment life is, nowadays not more than 1 or 2 years. So this all are the reasons why the e-waste is growing in leaps and bounds. Now, why this e-waste is a problem? Why we call it as a problem? Because this e-waste composed of hazardous materials. These products get quickly obsolete and they get discarded. The problem is these products are not discarded properly. They are managed very badly, and most of this e-waste goes to scrap dealers and landfills. And many of the recyclers even do not recycle, they export. So this is the threats which we are all facing, which we are all very much unaware about. Now, what are the constituents of e-waste? Every e-waste, every electronic waste has two kinds of materials, hazardous materials and valuable materials. Now, what are those hazardous materials? These are nothing but the toxic pollutants, the elements like mercury, lead, cadmium, chromium, plastics. And these toxic pollutants will cause as simple as a small ailment like headache to the neurological issues and cancers too. These are all very deadly diseases. Let's see in detail what these toxic elements, right, where they are found and what are these effects. For example, let's take cadmium. Okay, every circuit board or a motherboard, it's made up of small resistors or semiconductor devices. So this cadmium, which is found in the chip resistors and semiconductors and mobile, it will cause kidney and liver damage. It is carcinogenic, so it will definitely cause neural damage. Mercury, which we find in relays, switches, PCB, CFL, and mobile, it causes brain and lung damage, respiratory and skin disorders. Lead, which we find in solder, PCBs, glass panels, and gaskets in computer monitors, the screens. This lead causes nervous system, brain, and kidney damage. It affects brain development in children too. Beryllium, which is there in the motherboard, it causes a skin disorder and lung related issues. PVC, which we find in wires and cables, when we burn this, then burning will produce dioxins, which will affect the growth and hormonal development. Barium, which is there in the front panel of CRT, your cathode ray tube, your screens. This will, when we are exposed to all this toxic element, this barium, which will cause muscle weakness, damage to heart, liver, and spleen. So all these toxic elements are causing serious effect. They are the serious health hazards to the human body and the earth environment also. There are certain valuable materials also. For example, gold, zinc, aluminum, silver, copper, iron inside this e-waste, which are used later for insulation, metal joining, connectivity, batteries, switches, conductivity, and magnetivity. So we have to extract these valuable materials before we completely discard the e-waste. You know how much precious metal is there in your cell phone? Just see the statistics. Experts estimate that we can recover the following amount of precious metals for every 1 million cell phones we recycle. So for every 1 million cell phones we recycle, we recover 550 pounds of silver, 50 pounds of gold, 20 pounds of palladium, and 20,000 pounds of copper. Interesting, isn't it? See this picture. There is an e-waste dealer here. He's sorting through the e-waste. These are children who are recycling the toxic e-waste with their bare hands. Children here again, they are extracting copper from the discarded computer parts. There are women working on a recycling toxic e-waste with their bare hands. These are very, very disheartening pictures. Guess what? If we do not give priority to this e-waste management, if we don't take care and we are not aware about what this e-waste is doing to our Mother Earth, then one day we may wake up to the picture like one of the sci-fi movie where we are all surrounded by the dumps of e-waste in our locality. Now, why do we need this e-waste management? First of all, this e-waste, it pollutes the groundwater, it acidifies the soil. Then there are emissions of toxic fumes and gases. And this is the fastest growing portion of municipal waste. If not handled, this will be out of control. And it releases carcinogenic substance in the air. So these are all the ill effects of the e-waste. And so it has to be managed very well. There are 4 methods which are there in current use for e-waste disposal. That is recycle, landfill, incineration, and reuse. We are all aware about recycle. What is recycle? Recycling is defined as the assembling, developing, promoting, or buying of new products which are prepared from the waste material. What are the steps in recycling? First, we have to dismantle the e-waste. Then we remove the hazardous materials such as lead, mercury, as told before. And then strong acids are used to remove valuable metals such as gold, lead, copper. And this is all done in a safer way. Now, there are methods of recycling: consumer recycling, that is individual recycling, donation, take back, exchange, and corporate recycling. What are the advantages of recycling? First of all, recycled materials can be used in developing new equipments, and valuable materials are retrieved, and definitely we are helping the environment by avoiding the pollution. Another method of disposal is landfilling. Now, landfill is nothing but a dump. You must have seen this dump in your city, right? It is a site for disposal of waste materials by burial and is the oldest form of waste treatment. But it has lots of disadvantages. First of all, the metals like mercury, cadmium, lead, this leaches into the soil and groundwater, and it makes the soil and water polluted. Definitely it requires large amount of space, and this is not at all a sound treatment for the which suits the environment. Next is incineration. Now this is a controlled and complete combustion process, burning process, in which a waste material is burned in a specially designed incinerators, something like a burner, but in a specially designed way at a very high temperature of 900 to 1000 degrees centigrade. This definitely has some advantages and disadvantages. Advantages is definitely it reduces the waste volume. Hazardous substances are converted to less hazardous substance, but this is not foolproof. That there are emissions of harmful gases and there are residues. Another way of e-waste disposal is reuse. This is very safe. It constitutes of direct use or use after slight modification to the original functioning equipment. That is, I will use the same devices. I will only discard the electronic device if it has completely stopped working. Otherwise, I will keep on reusing it or its parts, modify it and again use it rather than throwing into the dump. The advantage of reuse is that electronic equipments like computers, cell phones can be reused in the home itself, right? Then this method reduces the volume of e-waste generation and there is no wastage of time and money. What are the recycle steps in India, or we can say all over the world? First, there is manual dismantling. After the dismantling, we segregate the materials into the hazardous material and the useful material. Then we break the materials into smaller parts. We use a shredder. Then the dust are removed, using magnetic pull, the metals are removed. So this is refining and conditioning. And after that, whatever is the useful material is there, it is given for the recycling. It is given to the recycling unit to make new products, and the waste which is completely of no use but is safe is deposited in a municipal landfill. This is a proper method to recycle. But there is another issue which is happening in one side of the world. That is, this entire recycling is very expensive. It has a high cost of labor. And so certain developed countries, they outsource to China. This is one of the example I'm giving you. They outsource to China. Why? Because the labor is cheap in China and the laws are less strict. You can search on internet, you will find some interesting facts about the city of Giu. Right, this is called as the e-waste hub of world. All the developing countries are sending their e-waste to this city of Giu, and you know that drinking water is not safe there. The working condition is very horrible. Men, women, and children, they have a lot of toxicity in their body. Like 150,000 workers are on board, and their average working day is of 16 hours, and they do this e-waste recycling. This is the city of Giu. This is the condition you can see in the pictures. So what is the method of extracting precious metals? Now let's see the hard fact that 95% of the e-waste is handled by the informal sector. What these poor workers do, they are unaware and ill-informed, and they extract gold and copper from the circuit board by dousing them into open acid baths. They have very little protective gear, right? And many of the times, these circuit boards are taken to some distance away from the township. They are piled up and burned during the night. These workers come back in the morning to collect these metals. So this is not a very safe method to do it. They are that there is circuit board open burning. You can see cable burning in open, acid stripping, CRT cracking, and dumping. So this informal, unorganized sector, they are not able to handle the e-waste recycling in a proper systematic way. So for that, this recycling has to be done at a proper authorized centers, at a proper industries, at proper firms, which works with proper rule and regulations. So what is the responsibility as a citizen? We as a student, what best you can do? The very first step is that don't discard your e-waste in the garbage, or don't simply give it to the scrap dealer, your kabadi wala. Do not do that, right? The best way is, first of all, you donate or reuse. If you can reuse in your family, best. If you can give it to your friends, it's a good option. Or you donate, give it to the people who really require it, give it to poor people, or give it to the schools where this kind of electronic waste, electronic devices can be modified and then can used again by the people who are really in need. And if this is not the way, then you give this electronic waste to the authorized e-waste collection and management center. They will recycle it in a proper way, right, with full gears, with rules and regulations, with proper machineries, and this firm's work in such a way that it does not harm the environment. Project Good Waste by Earthful Foundation is a wonderful initiative. You all please join the e-waste detox drive, because this will help to unload our earth with the toxic e-waste. This is Namrata Mankar signing from STEAM Academy. Now I hand over the session to Amrita from the Earthful Foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was indeed a very enlightening session. Now, we have a very special guest with us today, Ongorak Papan Mohanta sir, and I would like to request him to speak a few words about the issue. So, please.
Can you see me, hear me? Anyone there? Am I live? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. So if I am, I hope I'm live. Can you hear me, see me? Okay. Someone said, yes, sir, you are live. Okay. First of all, thank you so much again, everyone at Earthful, for believing in this, these small but very important things that you are doing. It seems small, but it's really big. So thank you so much for putting in the effort to do this. And to all the students out there who are watching, whoever's watching, so to all of you, I also saw some of the, the facts that were being said. It's very, very important now, for as far as I know, that electronic waste is a new waste for us. It's just 20, 30 years old. And, so that's why we don't know how to deal with it yet. We already have so much waste problem. Amar India sobe jane bharatot garbage problem ase. Ami eteo sort koribo para nai, chesta kori ase sokolue sorkare ba bibhinno organization. So electronic waste is one of the, as you know now, or maybe most of you already know, it's one of the most hazardous problem we have in the coming future, for the planet, for our health. Janeke China he jaga khona kotha kole namata ma'am. So the thing is, আমাৰ প্ৰত্যেকে এতিয়াৰ পৰা হেতু যদি কৰিব পাৰো, অহা 10 বছৰৰ পিছত 15 বছৰৰ পিছত, যেনেকে I'm just telling young kids also here that when you know that you're going to fall, when you walk you're careful, when you run you're careful, কারণ কি পৰি গলে আমি ডুব পাম, we'll get hurt, we know when we're running, so be careful. So similarly, if everybody knows this in 10, 12, 15 years, that আমি কেয়াৰফুল হ'ব লাগিব এই বস্তুটোৰ কাৰণে, এতিয়া পৰা আমি awareness-টো সেইকাৰণে মানুহ যাতে সজাগতা, মানুহ যাতে বুজি পায়, এই awareness-টো কাৰণে কৰিছো, যেনেকে দৌৰিলে পৰিবলৈ আমি সাৱধান থাকো, তেনেকে এই বস্তুৰ কাৰণে যদি এতিয়াৰ পৰা সাৱধান হওঁ, we sure can control this problem. It's a huge problem. Recently আমি গোটেই প্লেনেটটোৱে এটা বস্তু এতিয়াও সাফাৰ কৰি আছো, আমি পাৰ হোৱাই নাই, কৰোনা ভাইৰাছ, COVID-19 এটা ভাইৰাছে পৃথিৱীখন কি অৱস্থা কৰি পেলাইছে। গতিকে এনেকুৱা টক্সিক যিখিনি বস্তু আমি দেখা নাপাওঁ, যিখিনি বতাহত পানীত, it's every day becoming very, very dangerous. আমি লাহে লাহে পলাব লাগিব দূৰলৈ, আৰু কিমান দূৰলৈ পলাম, চহৰৰ পৰা পলাব লাগিব গাঁৱলৈ, গাঁৱৰ পৰা পাহাৰলৈ, পাহাৰৰ পৰা ক'লৈ পলাব, glaciers are melting, global warming is happening, all so much of all that is happening. So we must be careful. আৰু এইটো ঘৰত সকলোৰে, everything is becoming electronic and digital in future, right? Our toys, khela bostu, tab, phone, everything is becoming electronic now. Everything's becoming digital. So more and more waste is going to come. So we need to be prepared for this waste. We have to tackle plastic also. We have to tackle many kind of waste. The electronic waste, ঘৰত জমা হৈ গৈ আছে, আমি এনেই পেলাই দিওঁ ক'ৰবাত. And we throw it away and it gets into these wrong places where they try to extract যিখিনি কথা ক'লে আমাৰ সার্কিট বোর্ড প্ৰত্যেকটো বস্তুতে যি বস্তুটা তাৰ ভিতৰত ইলেক্ট্ৰনিকত সার্কিট থাকে তাৰ ভিতৰত যিখিনি মেটেল থাকে গোল্ড থাকে সিলভাৰ থাকে তাৰ লগতে সেইবোৰ ক'বতে lead cadmium যিখিনি এফেক্ট আছে ভালকে নুলালে প্ৰদূষণ যিখিনি হোৱাৰ আমাৰ মানে শংকা আছে আমি যিখিনি ভয় খাইছো we need to be aware. Hola Sulikini students kini again, thank you for joining in. Thank you all the schools for doing this for your kids. I hope from this on here onwards, আপোনালোকে যেতিয়া কাবাৰ ঘৰত যাব, মাহী ঘৰ, খুৰা ঘৰ, uncles, like your cousins, you go anywhere in the road, if you see anywhere you see anyone's house electronic waste, আপোনাকে ক'লেই হ'ব বুলি কথা নাই মানুহ নুশুনিব পাৰে কিন্তু কোৱাটো it's your responsibility, কোৱাটো your role you play. You have to definitely at least mention that this is a hazardous thing coming. আপোনালোকে এনেকে অমুক জায়গাতহে আপোনালোকে ইলেক্ট্ৰনিক বস্তুখিনি পেলাব. Don't throw it with the garbage. সেইখিনি যদি কয় সেইখিনি যথেষ্ট. That's what you can do. লাহে লাহে মানুহে বুজি পাব. That's what I am hoping. And thank you, the entire team, Earthful again, for doing these small things everywhere, which are really big. I think, it looks small right now. Very important things you guys are doing. Congratulations on all the efforts. And I hope everyone follows Earthful's page and follow where to drop the garbage. Code pelabo laibo electronic temloke bibhinno jagat korise. Shohomor logot type korise bibhinno jagat korise. School bilakot ase. So apnaloke goi 12 তাৰিখলৈকে আছে আপোনালোকে এই বছৰটোৰ আৰম্ভণিটো এইখিনি এটো এটা সৰু ধুনিয়া ষ্টেপ এটা কৰক, which will be a big deal for the planet, for our health, for environment. Let's do this together. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really glad and thankful to all of you for doing this. Can I sign off?
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. With this, we come to the conclusion of the session. Before concluding, I would like to thank our honorable speakers, Jayaraman sir and Namrata ma'am, for enlightening us about the issue. We are also thankful to 24 digital frames digital, I'm really sorry for that, 24 frames digital for being our webcast partner. And thank you students, teachers, and everyone for participating with us. We look forward for your participation in the e-waste detox drive as well. Thank you and have a good day.